Hi, my name is Tim Madden, and for this project I chose Beethoven's Sixth Symphony, Opus 68, also known as the Pastoral Symphony. In the beginning of the piece, there are encouraging strings, especially violins and other higher-pitched instruments. They have a fast tempo and a mezzo-forte dynamic, which means slightly loud but not as loud as other parts of the piece. Around 3 minutes and 12 seconds into the piece, there's conflict or suspense that arise, and this suspense is caused by woodwind and instruments such as flutes and the trembling sound of the timpani, which is the percussion drum used in this piece. The drum makes a sound like dun 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 dun, which in my opinion causes suspense and conflict. At around 4 minutes and 10 seconds in, the dynamic shifts to forte for the first time in this piece. Trumpets and other brass instruments begin to dominate the sound, audibly what you could hear out of this part of the piece begins to be dominated by brass and louder instruments such as trumpets. At 6 minutes, movement 3 began with a piano dynamic, or a soft, quiet dynamic, and a medium tempo. Flutes and other woodwind instruments can be heard, but around 6 minutes and 30 seconds in, the brass comes in and increases the tempo to fast and increases the dynamic to forte or even fortissimo. This, in my opinion, is the part of the piece where it's the loudest and most exciting. In movement 5, which is the final movement of this piece, around 8 minutes and 30 seconds in, a similar thing happens where the brass and strings increase the tempo to fast and increase the dynamics to forte, and it remains in a fast tempo with a forte dynamic for the remainder of the piece. I enjoyed this piece because I thought it was encouraging. When I heard the beginning of it until the third and fifth movements, where it would transition from piano and slower to fast and forte, I thought that those were encouraging shifts in emotion and shifts in energy. And I thought overall the strings and the woodwinds did a good job of setting up bass feeling of excitement, and then the brass would come in and really emphasize the excitement. I thought this would pair well with some kind of exploration scene of a movie, maybe towards the beginning of a movie when some characters are exploring some kind of new world, whether that's sci-fi or a fantasy movie or something like that. It would be good when somebody was exploring a beautiful new world that they've never seen before, and everything's kind of amazing to them, and they're taking it all in at a pretty fast pace. As far as that, I really just observed that it had a pretty consistent, I don't want to say theme, but it had a pretty consistent cycle, really, of setting up with soft piano and piano dynamics and softer, slower tempos, and then really having the brass kind of come in at a much louder, much more forte and much faster forte dynamic and a much faster tempo. And I thought that was pretty much the recurring idea within the piece.